Good morning and welcome to Devils in Red 59. My name is Steve and we're on match day. Can't believe it's been 3.5 weeks since Manchester United last played a game. It seems an eternity ago, doesn't it? But just talking about some of the weekend fixtures that's just gone. Obviously, I think Manchester City done us a big favour by beating Chelsea 3-0. Because that's now put 7 points between us, and obviously we've still got to play Chelsea. So obviously, if we can win against Leeds tonight, that'll put us 10 points clear. And then we've got Chelsea the weekend. So if we could manage to scrape another one out of that'll be another 3 points. That'll be 13 points. So I think Man City did do us a big favour on the weekend by beating Chelsea. But Manchester United, the players, as I say, they haven't played for 3.5 weeks, so they should be relatively fresh. I know some of them were on international duty, but obviously since they've come back from that, they've had a little bit of downtime and they've been in Dublin doing some intense training. So hopefully they'll come back feeling fresh, really up for it. You know, they'll be able to look at the table now and say, well, it's on us as players. If we can get a result against Leeds tonight, then that's going to put 10 points between us and Chelsea. So that's a good gap, you know. So hopefully they will come back with that in mind and hopefully go to Old Trafford tonight and get the result we most desperately need. Um, We've got 7 games left. Obviously, if we beat Leeds tonight, we'll only have 6 games left. But as I say, there'll be 10 points between us and Chelsea. And then, obviously, with the 6 games left, we got Chelsea the weekend. If we can get a result there, as I said a few minutes ago, that'll put 13 points between us and Chelsea. So I would think, if all that is equal, that we would only need to sort of win 2, maybe 3 maximum of our last 6 games, which I think is very much achievable. The players have seemed to operate a lot better under Carrick, so hopefully, you know, it will be achievable to get 2 to 3 wins uh, out of those last 6 games, which hopefully then should cement European Champions League football for us. Um, we've got on the Champions League. If we achieve all that, then obviously I think personally that we will have obviously Arsenal, Manchester City, um, Aston Villa, ourselves, and Liverpool. I think those will be the 5 clubs that will qualify for the Champions League this year. Now, from our point of view, if we can finish in third, that'll be great because that'll give us extra revenue. If we finish in fifth, you know, we still qualify, but obviously I think there'd be about 6 million less in revenue coming in for our finish position in the Premiership. So there's a lot to play for, you know, to go for that third position and bring in that additional revenue because it's all going to help in the transfer window in the summer. So as I say, that's my prediction of who the top 5 are likely to be for the Champions League this summer. Um, I think with the way that Arsenal have been dropping points just recently, I think it's going to come down to the last 1 or 2 games between Arsenal and Man City, but I can actually see Manchester City nicking it in those last couple of games. I wouldn't at all put it past City to do it. And I know there's a lot of the Manchester United fan base would rather see Arsenal win the title as opposed to Man City, with them being our rivals. But you know, with the amount of titles they've won, the money they've spent, I wouldn't put it past them just to nick it at the end. So there we go. We'll have to wait and see whether it comes down to the last game or whether Manchester City can do something prior to that and say they've done it realistically, or whether it will be Arsenal. Um, some information coming out in the Telegraph today about Manchester United apparently are looking at several midfield targets in Spain. Don't know who those are as yet, but obviously in Spain and Italy and places like that, there's uh, classed to be better value for money. Whereas in the Premiership, you go for a decent midfielder over here, you're probably talking upwards of 50 million. Spain, Italy, Ineos like to buy the 22, 23-year olds, so you, you're likely to pick up a decent up and coming midfielder from the likes of Spain, probably for 30 and 35 million, probably 40 million max. So perhaps that's why they're looking at that sort of area. Or are they now having to turn their attentions to that because of what's been coming out in the news over the last few days about it's looking ever likely now that Elliot Anderson is going to be going to Manchester City. Uh, Even the likes of Gomez from Wolves, that's allegedly valued at about 35 million, which would be a good um, player for Manchester United to get, but I think he's made it known that his preferred destination would be somebody like Chelsea or Arsenal or somebody like that over Manchester United. So it looks like all our midfield targets from the Premiership have slowly disappeared. I mean, I can't. They still say that Elliot Anderson's our number one target, but personally, unless they pull an absolute miracle off, I don't think we're going to get Elliot Anderson. Um, but as I say, it looks like now that we're having to look abroad because it's hard to see who we're going to get, or be, we should realistically get one of our main targets from the Premiership because it's important that we have a Premiership proven player that can come in and hit the ground running. As I say, whether they can pull a miracle off by getting Elliot Anderson or whether they turn to Tonali again and prepare to pay the 100 million and big wages, which I doubt very much. Um, we're having to focus in other areas, So it'll be an interesting one as to what goes on in the summer. But I think Ineos now, over the last couple of seasons, have started playing their cards a bit closer to the chests, not making it quite so well known who the targets are. And sometimes when they say a certain player's our number one target, is that to take the onus off who they're really going for. You never know, but in some cases, I think that might be what Ineos are doing. Putting a smoke screen down to think, oh well, if United are going for him, we're going for him, and behind the scenes, we might be going for somebody else. I mean, there's Fernandez at West Ham been mentioned, which wouldn't be a bad shout, but I believe he's a young lad, midfield player. Is he another prospect? Yes, he has been playing well for West Ham, but is he going to be able to take that big step up into Manchester United if we go for him? Is he a player that's going to hit the ground running? Is he going to be a player that's going to be one for 12 months, 2 years' time, like a lot of our other younger players? So I think we have got to bring in somebody with experience. Um, but who that's going to be, God only knows. It might come as one big surprise and think, well, we didn't see that one coming, but yet we agree on the player they've gone for from the Premiership for the experience, and then maybe the second midfielder might come from the likes of Spain, where value for money is seen to be a lot better. And we all know that Ineos and the Glazers like to save as much money as possible. So perhaps that might be the case. Just a little bit on Carrick. I've I've heard, probably the same as you have over the international break and so forth about Carrick getting the job and everybody else is dropping out and different outlets on YouTube and so forth are saying that, they still think it's a mistake. Carrick's a manager that got sacked by Middlesbrough. He's an unexperienced manager and this, that and the other. But if you look at Carrick since he's been the interim at Manchester United, he simplified the football. But you then look at the managers that preceded him, such as Amrin and Ten Hag and so forth. I mean, they were more experienced managers, and they couldn't get the best out the players that we've got. Yet Michael Carrick's come in and he's simplified things, and he's got the results out of the team. So whether you class him to be unexperienced or inexperienced, and he was sacked by Middlesbrough, I don't think that's got a lot to do with it, because nobody's got a crystal ball, and you can't foresee who the next big target manager's going to be. You could bring in Nagelsmann, or you could bring in Enrique from PSG, but again, for as experienced as they are, there's no guarantee that they would, get the players on side. There's no guarantee that the players would perform for them. Whereas under Michael Carrick, they have been performing. Now, obviously, last year we bought in 4 good players in Mbumo, Sesko, Cunha, and Lamens. And if we bring in another 4 players plus this season of equal quality that can push us forward again, all of a sudden, between last season and this season, you've hopefully got 8 new starters that we didn't have the season before. So that's, well over half of your team. So hopefully we can start playing better, attractive football maybe, whereas at the moment, Carrick's having to work with what he's got. He's simplified things, and he's grinding out the results. He's got the players. They all appear to be a lot happier. They seem to be working as a unit as opposed to doing their own individual things like we've seen in the past. So, there are a lot of plus signs there. And if it comes down to the situation that Carrick gets a job, then, I'll give him all my backing until such time as it's proven not to have worked. But, whether it's Carrick or Enrique or Nagelsmann, you could still be in the same position 6 months, 12 months, 18 months down the road. So I don't really think we've got a lot to lose by giving Carrick the job. And obviously, there's certain things come out about Steve Holland. Well, Steve Holland is a very respected coach around the world. He's not somebody that don't know what he's doing. Okay, he was with the England setup for 8 years, and some people may say that it wasn't very attractive football and that. But I mean, we got to a final and a semi-final within the Euros and the World Cup. So I mean, he can't be that bad. And I mean, he had a stint at Chelsea where I think he done quite well, and he's a midfield coach. Now, if you look at the players that Amrin was using and Ten Hag, with the likes of Ugarte and Mainu and Casemiro, all right, Ugarte's not been played so much as the likes of Mainu and Casemiro, but again, Carrick's come in with Steve Holland, and he's plugged some of them holes that we had in the midfield area, So, take your hat off to Steve Holland. He's no fool, and he is a good coach. And obviously, you've got Woodgate and Evans that are obviously been coaching the defence line, and obviously our defence has improved no end as well. We're a lot more solid, and we play out from the back better, and we keep better possession of the ball. So, if Ineos are going to look at it and think, well, Carrick's done a good job, his training staff have done a good job, we ain't got to lay no more money out to bring another manager and coaching staff in and buy them out of maybe a contract with the clubs they are, or you go for somebody that might be on a free, but it's still going to cost you money. I think it's a shrewd move if we do take Carrick and his backroom staff on, because as I say, I don't think we've got anything to lose by it. So, I would think certainly over the next 3 to 4 games, which would then only leave us 2 to 3 games left to play, we're going to know whether we've concreted the top 5, which we are going to. And I think that's when probably the announcement that Carrick's appointment and his backroom staff will be announced. So I certainly think it's going to be before the end of the season. Um, so again, wait and see. I don't think there's any other managers on the horizon. I don't think there's any surprises that's going to be burst out of a balloon and suddenly appear. I do think it's going to be Carrick, and if it is, I'll give him my support until time as it's proven to be different. I'd just like to give a big shout out to Heinz. He's the chairman and secretary of the Belgium Manchester United Supporters Club. I mentioned on a video two or three back that I'd been speaking to Heinz on the phone, and he was telling me that he comes over for all the games at Old Trafford, and I think there's only maybe 1 or 2 games at the most that the Belgium fans don't come over to Old Trafford. So, I'd just like to say thank you for Heinz and all the Belgium lads, for supporting the club in the way that they do. And I know he's over here for tonight's game against Leeds. So have a good time, Heinz, and I hope it all goes well for you and the rest of us. Um, Another bit of information is about our up and coming May T-shirt and baseball cap competition that we're going to be running throughout the month of May. There'll be a question asked every Friday, and then obviously the winner will be announced on a Sunday. And obviously, one person will receive a T-shirt, and one person will receive a baseball cap every week throughout the month of May. So keep your eyes open for that. Please smash a like on this video because it's very important trying to get the numbers up. Please subscribe, share the video, and obviously keep your eyes out for that competition that will be running throughout the month of May. And here's to tonight. We'll all be tuned in, and hopefully we'll get the 3 points that we most desperately need to help cement the position that we want to finish in, which is third, because Villa are on equal points with us. Only till obviously, I mean, if we drew, we'd go 1 point clear. If we win, we'll go 3 points clear. So that gap is important to us to create. I don't think Chelsea is going to be any issue to us now over the remaining games. It's just going to be where we finish now, whether we finish third, fourth, or fifth. But, I would certainly say that we're going to hopefully finish between third and fourth. So that revenue again will be important to the club with the upcoming transfer season looming. So as I say, please smash a like on the video, get in the comments, subscribe and share the video, and I'll speak to you after the game. So let's hope it's a good one. Thanks very much.